officially getting started. Let's see.
This is cool. I'm already learning stuff. Thank you.
You
Very
are
excited.
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
All right, we are live. Hey there, disruptors. It's your girl Selena, Coach Selena, also known as the Disruptor Coach. We are still getting the hang of this YouTube, and I've got my lovely guest with me, Daphne. We are going to be talking about books save lives. So we are absolutely stoked that you joined us, and let's just get into it.
Okay.
Greetings, Daphne.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm glad that you said yes when I put the request out.
I think I
Um,
got it really fast.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So I start these things off with, how do you show up in the world?
I just love that question. I don't think I have answered that exactly. But what I want to show up as my goal when I walk out of the door is as me, as
Mhm.
close to who I possibly was when I was born, and so that people, if someone is in duress, they do not see me as a threat. If they see me more as like that person would help, like Mr. Rogers used to say, look for the helper. I want to radiate that when I walk out. So if somebody needs me, they could look and go, that one will help me. And if they just need to be comforted, I offer the same kind of feeling. And if they're a dangerous person and they don't want to inflict any danger near me, because I don't
Mm.
seem like they want to find out how I'd react if they were endangering someone near me.
All right. Are you
So like,
offended if I cuss? Because,
no, oh gosh, no,
okay. I
go right
just,
ahead.
so what I heard is you don't want them to fuck around and find out.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you say it that way because you sound dangerous, but like not fighting with Selena. Like, I mean, it's not like I just want them to go, no, that's not like I just want them to know that there are boundaries. And there are people like me walking around who have some, and that we care about the people near us. This
Mhm.
is a silly story, but I was playing pickleball. I was trying to play pickleball, and I was playing, and this guy he was out of control, and nobody stopped him. And I'm like, if I had been his partner, I would have said, hey, dude. The score is 0-2. We're losing. She's right. Get back to your corner. And I think he would have heard that. But it was me and him, and he was on the other side, and his partner was like, like, you know what the score is. And my partner's like, I'm like, you know what the score is. Why aren't you guys just saying something? So I think that's important to stand up for other people and say, hey, the score is, I mean, it's pickleball. It doesn't really matter at all. But I think that the world needs more people kind of at their posts, just standing, not doing anything.
I love this. So a couple things crossed my mind as you are saying that. And you and I were having fun with it before we went live around the fact that I know that I'm a war. I like to use the word warrior because
Yeah,
I will stand up for people. And then
right.
I said something to the effect, and sometimes I use words.
Oh, right. I know. You said it
Right.
again. Still like, okay, I think I know what it means.
And because I know I get pissed off when I don't feel like people are being treated fairly and
Mhm.
unjust, right? And
Right,
so I sense the spirit in you as well.
right,
And then the other takeaway from what you said was that we need to be more candid with people and just say what it is, because we're not responsible for the outcome, but somebody has to, say what needs to be said. Would that
right.
be accurate?
Yeah, like that wasn't very cool what you just did. Like I was actually uncool.
Yeah,
There
like
was
knock
a
it
guy out
off.
playing pickleball again. A kid was waving his paddle in a way that, no, it wasn't illegal. It was uncool. And I'm like, I'm not just gonna let him think that's cool. I wasn't Karening him like, oh my God, I'm gonna go, because people they call the police at people there. But I'm also like, there's an element of civility that I think is important. So it's not like I'm not confrontational. Like I don't want that to sound, I'm not actually confrontational, but
I
I
don't
would,
get the confrontational vibe from you.
yeah,
Audience,
right. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I just,
I don't think we'll figure that out. But it does feel like you are concerned that people would think that when, and you know that you're trying to help you. So I appreciate that you want people to see your true essence.
yes.
I love that because the world, once it gets on top of us, we tend to lose that. And then it's a journey to get back to it. That is really what I help in my coaching. That's what I really help people do. Get back to their true essence. And sometimes that's hard to quantify and to say, but that's really where the happiness and the joy is,
You're
right?
gonna freak out when I tell you what I do with books.
Well, well, let's get to it then. Tell us what you do with books.
Okay. Okay. So I was doing this for years and years and years and years and years. And then someone said that I bring the captain back to the ship. You
Mm,
just said that. That's what you do. That's what I
mm.
think. That's what, I just saw this, what healers do. Healers aren't healing you. Healers are there as a reminder, you're magnificent.
Ashe.
And then they just, hold up the mirror over here and then hold up the mirror over here. And then until you see it, and then you're like, then they can go, oh, well, thanks. I mean, you didn't, like kids would tell me I did something. I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like I
Right,
literally just stood here and did, very little, I think, because I really wanted to emphasize it was them who did it. I didn't do anything.
right,
And they,
right.
you know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
the key. So it's funny, we do exactly the same thing. I just do it with books.
Books. So tell us more about that.
Okay.
Um, what's the most profound impact that books can have on an individual?
Um, can I, okay, one, don't forget to ask me that, what do I disrupt question, because that's my
It's
favorite.
coming.
Okay. I just don't like, I'm like here for that. But the thing is that I'm gonna tell a story. I was in a
We love stories.
okay, good. I was in a library and I was doing a presentation with moms just the other day. And this mom came up and she was in a hurry to leave. Her husband was picking her up and the kid that was 4 they were leaving. But because I was a literacy specialist, I had this box of books and I had these flyers. She's like, well, let me ask you this. My son is 4 and we're working on our phonics, but I feel like we're at a standstill. And I'm
Mm,
like, your son is 4 and you think he's at a standstill. And I'm like, in my head, just so everybody knows, that's not a standstill. That's a 4-year-old who should be playing, not getting to the point of standstill, right? It's not that complicated. But what
mhm,
happens is parents are afraid their child will not learn to read.
mm.
Actually, I'm just going to go into what I'm disrupting at the same time. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
So I say to the mom, so she says, we're at a standstill of phonics. And I'm like, I mean, like, actually, I'm worried. I mean, I'm not talking about a problem with phonics, to be clear. I'm talking about the fear of a mom on top of a child who she is concerned is going to read. So what is he getting? Is he getting phonics or is he getting fear? Do you see?
Hmm.
So I
Yep.
say to her, well, let me ask you a question. Can you finish the sentence? Books are blank. Just what word comes to mind?
Right.
She's like, power. I'm like, what? I was not prepared for that answer because I always ask the question completely with complete curiosity. So I'm never prepared. Well, I'm prepared. I'm prepared because usually it's like in this like kind of oh, they're magical or whatever, but not power. And I'm like, okay, let me ask you a question. What are you doing to translate that to convey that message to him. And she goes, nothing. I'm not. And she's like, how do I do that? Like, that's the key. So to go to my disruptor. So I, in 1987, I was in college. I went to Florida State. I just love to say I'm the age of Deion Sanders because we were in school at the same time. And he was always a pro people person. So having him have what he's doing right now with Colorado State, gosh, I hope I got the Colorado right. I think it's
Yep.
just indicative of what he was like when he was 20. He came to
Mm-hmm.
the softball games. He went to the women's basketball games. He was at the women's basketball, volleyball games. Like he's been pro people. So I just love that about him. So anyway, in 1987, I was told all the kids deserved a reading journey, their own reading journey. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Okay. So I came back home. It's 1989. I'm like, okay, kids, we're going to have our own reading journeys. And it was very clear that the books did not exist that my kids that I was teaching needed. And I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea what to do. Zero. So I spent like the next 17 years trying to figure out, well, doing what I was told and knowing that there's something wrong, circumventing what exactly I was told and doing what I thought would be better, but still never quite getting it right. So
Mm-hmm.
then I read this book. A friend of mine sent me a book called The Book Thief. And in The Book Thief, the main character lives because she's with a book.
Mm.
Second character lives because he's with the book. And then like two more characters, and basically everyone else dies, honestly. And I was like, this man, the author, wrote a book. It must have taken years. It's
Right.
beautiful. Just to tell me, because I took it so personally, books save lives. And so like
Mm.
2006, 7, 8, 9, I can't remember exactly what year. And I get to that part and I just start crying because I was told in 1987, books save lives. Get all the kids on a reading journey. Do what you're told. And I didn't do it. And I felt so bad for all the kids that I had let down.
Mm.
I was like, I should have done it. Me, I let down. God, I let down. Whoever you want to say, I let down everybody. And I was like, okay. So I turned to my entire life is from that point on has been trying to figure out how to put every single kid universally on a reading journey. All of them. Okay. Fast
All
forward.
right.
Get to the
Yes.
disruptor. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So I get to around 34 years of literacy, and I'm like, I figured it out.
So
I
that's double.
double.
All
So when
right.
people are like in a hurry to figure something out, yeah, hold my beer. It took me 34 years. Like, come on. So at 34 years, I realized that I made a method that's customer service based, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
stack of books and a child. And I know kind of what to say to them to get them to try one of the books in the stack. Then
All
they
right.
try the book in the stack. Then they start reading the book in the stack. And then while they're reading, I mean, I could give you tons of titles. It's not because it's not the title of the book that's so important in the very, 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 very beginning.
Okay.
It's how they read. So the way that I teach reading is I want you to think about you, period. So I give
Mm.
a book within your vocabulary range. And as a child, I give a child what their perceived vocabulary range is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they start. And then they start reading and they literally start to change right in front of your eyes. I can do it in front of people. I can do it with children I've never met ever. I can do it because they'll sit down. I'm like, did you just get voluntold by your mom? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, I thought that my mom said it was just me and you. And then they look and there's 30 adults in the room and I can still do it. And it's magical. So I have this whole technique. I figure it out. I start practicing it.
Yeah. Do you have
And
a name for it?
yeah, it's called the visceral method.
The
So visceral, right? Because it's feeling. I take out the ego and I replace it with feeling, right? So you
Mhm.
feel while you read. So if the sentence says, I don't belong here, I feel like I don't belong here, then you connect to the feeling of not feeling like you belong. If it
Mm.
says, I don't go out at night, you connect to the reasons you would go out at night, or when you started going out at night, or what it means to go out at night, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You make the connections to each and every word, each and every sentence, the whole entire time until you get to the end of the book. And I'm telling you, by the time somebody does that, their entire life has changed because they're questioning the thoughts they've had. They're questioning the author. They're listening to someone else's perspective. They're considering something else. It's so incredibly magical. Like it's unbelievable.
That's incredible. Um,
You like, I have not even done, and I see you like deep in thought.
I know questions about that, right? Especially when you said they connect with the words of the book, like putting themselves there and their feelings. Tell me more. Like tell me what has been one of the biggest impacts that one of your readers has experienced?
Oh, I'll tell. We should do a couple more sentences with you,
Yes.
and then I'll tell you what happens. Yeah, and then
Now, what was the name of that book?
this is called The Hate You Give.
The Hate You Give. All right.
It's my favorite to use because just going to tell all of your listeners, books are written by different people for different reasons, but there's only two reasons.
What
Okay,
are the two reasons?
two reasons. I would like to make money,
Mm,
or I need to share my heart.
mm,
Whether my heart is breaking, and if I don't share it, it will break, or I healed my heart, I want to help you heal your heart, or I need to say this so that I can share this so my heart is not broken.
mm.
And it's so easy for a kid to see the difference of how the book was written. So what happened is I was buying these books. I was like, you name it, I'll buy it. And I was putting it on the shelf. And then I would see what would happen to the books. There was just collections of books that are very popular books
Right.
that kids don't read because it wasn't written from the author's heart. So they couldn't connect their heart to them. But this woman, tell me, it's the first line is, I shouldn't have come to this party.
Mm,
Like everyone who, okay, well, this is the key. You have to be able to think about yourself. And I do meet children who are like, I've never been to a party. Okay. Have you ever been anywhere where you felt like you don't belong? No, I belong everywhere I go. Okay. Well, see, that person doesn't really have a reading problem. They have a letting things inside them problem. So it's
mm,
about letting it come inside you and then you wrestle with it, right? So I
mm.
shouldn't have come to this party. I need to admit now to myself, oh, I shouldn't have gone to that party.
Yeah.
Do you know how
I can,
huge that is for a kid? They don't have to say it out loud, but they have to say it to them. And now they're finally, for the first time, going, I shouldn't have gone there. Then the next sentence says, I'm not even sure I belong at this party. Now, that doesn't mean it's the same party in your head, because now you're like, oh, I hate that feeling of not feeling like I belong.
right.
Like my daughter asked me once if I was adopted because she didn't feel like she fit with her um, cousins because they were so different than she was, and I'm like, so I think of that sentence, but you know what I mean? Like that thought with that sentence. So the whole time you're reading, you're thinking about you and going through every single sentence, thinking about you. And do you see two sentences later, you're already accepting two thoughts that you've never let bubble up to the surface.
Mm,
And now you're like considering them
mm,
while continuing with this girl who's at a party she doesn't belong at.
mm. So you're on a journey, your own self journey while you're reading the book. Is that,
Exactly. I call it introspective reading.
oh,
And so I call myself an introspective reading specialist. because I realized that's what I was my reading when the teacher said, my professor was like, take them all on a reading journey. I'm like, okay, and this is the only one I do. So I thought, well, that's the one the kids should be on. So it took me 35 years, 37. Now we're in my 37th year because I
Mm-hmm.
had to figure out what the journey was that I was taking that I wanted them to go on for themselves. So I never
Mm.
tell a kid which book to read. I don't tell them, those kinds of things. All I say is think about you. That's it. And I make no judgments on what those thoughts are. I make no criticisms of what those thoughts are. I let them explore those thoughts on their own and I honor those thoughts.
Mm, mm. And does that work with books that are like more, like you said, one reason books is made because they people want to make money and sell the book per se. So does that apply to any book, or are there certain books that this would apply to that they would be able to have this introspective reading?
Well, think about me and you, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're an instructor coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we get the same exact book, but put the book down in front of you and put the book down in front of me. We're going to read every single line differently.
Yes. Based
So
upon our experiences,
yeah,
right?
right, exactly. Based on our experiences, based on everything. You pick a word, we're gonna see that word differently because we created that word inside of our minds differently. So could I'm just for what I do, I just want to be around people who can see themselves.
Mm,
That's
that's
it.
good.
So
That's good.
I have a little bit of, like what happened was, okay, so this is so funny. The last year I taught, I was making my bed. So it was early in the morning and I was like, this is so weird. I don't stress out about going to any of my classes because usually everybody in middle school knows you're going to have some kid that just like pokes the bear as soon as you walk in the room.
Oh yeah.
No, always. I mean, it's just the nature of 120 people that you're interacting with. Like that's going to happen. And I
So
was making,
quick question, you because you mentioned the last year you taught. So were you a reading teacher?
yeah, so I taught reading specific. Well, and this is how I taught it though. So every kid is reading every single child is on their own reading journey.
Right.
So I have shelf and shelves and shelves full of books that provide a beginning journey for any kind of kid that walks across into my room. Like I could start a journey with any kid with the selection of books that I had.
Fantastic. So tell me what grades and what selection of books did you have?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I taught sixth through eighth,
So
basically. That would be
middle
my,
school.
my bread and butter would be sixth through eighth. Um,
Okay.
and it's interesting you should say that because I really don't like the term diverse books, only because it separates them as if they are not the books. But um, my books would be categorized generally that I found would be categorized as diverse. Somebody would call them diverse books, right?
Okay.
They would say that they were generally not white writers,
Oh, okay. I see.
generally. But
Okay, so
I
give
found
us
some
some of
white
your
writers. I
what are
found
your top three titles?
three titles that I use. Oh, okay. Okay, three titles that I use. Definitely at the end of my career would be definitely The Hate You Give.
Mm-hmm.
The number one life-changing book for any boy that I ever met that was around 14 years old, that was angry, apathetic, um, name it. It's called Tyrell, and the author is Coe Booth. And I always like to say, hey, Coe, I'm going to hug you one day. There's like that crazy lady that reached out to me 15 years ago. She's still stalking me. But that book, Tyrell, is so incredible. Incredible.
I
It,
never heard of it. What is
it
it
came
about?
a 15-year-old boy who has struggles. But
Mm.
it's the first, because the way that I teach reading, the kids connect to him. That's why when
Mm.
people are like, well, you gotta quit. People are always telling people what books they should read. I don't care what books you read. I'm just saying, if you were gonna have a bunch of teens and you throw that into the pile, you're not gonna get the book back.
Ah,
did
Oh,
not.
they want to keep it
Yes, because
because it
it's the
relates.
first time a boy can connect to a boy. Okay, but I did hear that Jason Reynolds, he's a very famous young adult author right now. He just wrote a book about a boy, a 17-year-old, I think a 17-year-old young man who has a relationship, like a mature 17-year-old relationship. And I'm like, if I were still in a classroom,
That might be another choice.
oh heck yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy's amazing. So I would say actually his book, oh, you only said three. Okay, so Jason Reynolds, Long Way Down.
Oh,
After
okay. The Long Way Down by
yeah,
Jason Reynolds is the
yeah,
third one.
yeah, but you
Okay.
said four. Just kidding. The last one, because I got to give you one more, would be
Okay.
my perfect Mexican daughter.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you had a bunch of teens, this is why, because what are teens? Feely little emotional train wrecks. And you know what? They need, for their own mental health, they need to be able to see themselves. And
Absolutely.
and so you give them one of those books, and it's going to be in the range of read. And I'll wait till I get to the disruptor of all disruptions. It's going to be amazing. But the thing is, when you give it to them and you go, okay, well, you just connect to it. And then, look how simple. I shouldn't have come to this party. That kid gets wrapped up in those words, and then they're wrapped up with the book.
Mm, I
They're
could
not
see,
the same person when they get done.
I could see that.
You have a
Now, does that still apply if you're doing audio, or do you have to read the book?
I the thing with audio is that there's a couple things. When you read it, you're creating all of the voices.
Mm.
I remember a kid reading I love this book.
Mm.
This kid read one book, this book called Concrete Rose. Um, and she comes over and she shows it to me. She's like, Miss, look. And she shows me this line. And she starts laughing. And she's like, I can hear him in my head. Isn't that so funny? And I'm
Mm.
like, wait, you couldn't hear him a month ago, right? She goes, oh, no. Do you see what I mean? So there is a
Yeah.
development that's really valuable. Do you think that's a
Yeah.
useful tool she created? Yes. Now, do I mean that's the only way to read? No, but man, how cool is that? That she could
Yeah.
start to hear. Because you think about it, if you go to school, what are you hearing? And so you're hearing the teachers. What if the teachers are, let's say, one particular race, and you're not the particular race of those teachers? You're
Hmm.
hearing, and then they read the books out loud. You're hearing everything through the filter of this tone, this accent that I know. Do you see what I'm saying?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if
Um,
you listen to a book, I'm not saying don't, but think about who's telling the story because you're getting it through the filter of them. It's going through them and being told to you. So,
that's
I,
interesting. I
right?
love I love um reading and listening to autobiographies. I love to hear the author's story directly from them. I like eliminating the middleman. I don't want to hear someone else reading it, mostly because I'm auditory, so I do most audiobooks. So that's one reason why I was curious. But then I feel I connect with their stories, right? Not maybe necessarily in the way that you're describing for your visceral method. Am I saying it right? Visceral?
Visceral, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Visceral method. Because I am looking at it through their lens. I'm not necessarily looking at it through my lens,
Oh,
right?
challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
All right. That would be fun to have a follow back up. I did this with Manny
Let's
and
do
a
it.
follow back up. And he's like, it was different. So,
Yeah.
and I was going to say is that, if I had a kid and they're like, can I listen to that? I'm like, okay, but just promise me you're thinking about you while you're listening. And then if they're like,
That's
sure,
that's like a cheat code. Think about you while you're listening.
yeah, that's
Think
it. That you are significant. Your thoughts and ideas and interactions with the book are the thing that creates you.
wow. So what has the disruptor in you had to disrupt?
Well, first of all, when I was saying diverse books before everyone jumped on the diverse train. So I was already getting in trouble before everybody was getting in trouble like they are now. I was already like having people question. And then I just shut my door and then none of my kids ever complained. Trust me, my kids were like, their lives were changing. Their parents weren't calling because their lives were changing. And I wasn't assigning a book. When
Right.
I assign you a book and then I assign you a thought, that's what people should be calling about, right?
Agreed.
I just don't get how people keep assigning. Nobody's reading. You don't, if I say go clean your room, right? Um, how are you gonna, and I want it done right now in an hour. How are you going to clean it?
Right.
Right?
Very quickly. Right.
Right?
Agreed.
And if I go, hey, so like Friday, I really wanted to go do a couple things and we're gonna go to the mall and I would like to slip you a 20. If your room's clean, I mean, we're gonna go anyway, but if your room's clean, I'll slip you a 20.
Yeah, if
You're
you
like,
haven't defined the requirements of clean, you're gonna get what their version of clean is,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Okay.
right, but also think about how they're going to clean it. They're going to clean it a lot when they have an inspiration to have a $20 bill to go spend versus you just force them into a little box. It's different. So if I say, hey, kids, we're all going to read, you get to choose whatever you want to read, and I want you to think about you. Trust me, the evolutions are, I mean, if you could have put like electrodes on their heads, you would have just seen popping everywhere,
Did they
right?
do like a book report on it or anything as well?
No, we just would talk about it because sometimes one book I use is it was called Poet X. Oh my God. This kid comes over and she's like, Miss, and she slaps the book down on my desk and she goes, oh, that book. And then she turned around and walked away. I'm like, okay. Now think about it. I don't know what she was thinking, right?
Yeah.
But do I need to put this into that child's head at all? Do I
I
need
hope
to
it's not. Well,
do
I feel like it depends. You hear so many stories of how teachers do shape and change lives, right? That because of things that the teacher has said, they went on to become this and
yes,
that because they were exposed to this or that, that, helped them find their passion. So I feel like it depends. This is a whole different dynamic um, than
I
I've
know,
ever heard
ever.
in this way. And it feels amazing. One specific thing is coming to my mind right now is you're you're allowing kids to have an appreciation for reading because not all folks enjoy reading.
Let me tell you why. That's what I was going to get to next about my disruption.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Total
So
alignment here. This is cool.
I know, right? Okay. Okay. So I figure out, wait, I got to back up a little bit. So now it's been 30, whatever many years, and I'm working with these kids and I'm like trying to figure out what the achievement gap is. It's one of my
Uh,
questions. Right?
in
Oh, what?
schools.
Yeah, in schools. You understand the words, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, sometimes people have never heard that, but okay. So here I am in okay, this is going to bring the book up. You asked one of the questions at the end was the book. Okay. So here I am with my kids. Here I am doing this method. Here the kids are reading one book later, and the kid is completely changed. I mean, parents are like, why is my kid cleaning their room? I'm like, I know, right? Because what would happen is the kid would, agency would be created within the child,
Yeah.
right?
I
And
love
all I was doing was just offering a potential path. So I'm watching it over and over again, and I'm like, oh my God, their beliefs are changing. Their belief about them is changing.
it.
Their
Right.
belief about how they read is changing. Their belief about who they are is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm teaching a bunch of adults who should have taught a bunch of kids my method, but they didn't.
Mm.
I know it's beliefs, and I know all I got to do is change a kid's beliefs. Give them
Right.
evidence to prove that they're not who they thought they were. That's what when you said teachers change kids' lives, anybody who changes someone else's life, what they have in common is that mirror, that same mirror that we were talking about. They just, in science and art and music and drama and sports, whatever it is, if I'm the teacher of record and I go like this in the perfect way to that child goes, oh,
You help them see
work is done.
themselves.
That's it. That's all a good teacher is doing, bringing the captain back to the ship, right? So I do it with literacy. I just keep giving the books out until the kid doesn't need me anymore. And then they're like, they don't even, it's
Got
like
it.
it didn't even exist because it's the books, it wasn't me. That's why I had to write the method, because the method proves that it's not me. I could give the method to you. You could give it to your friend who teaches school. If they believed in children and in books, they could do it all day long. So, ready for the book. I think I might have asked you on the phone though, have you read or seen Caste?
I
Or
have
just
not yet, but you make me want to go check it out.
Okay, so for all of your viewers, so Caste, Origins of Our Discontents, the movie is Origins. So this woman, Isabel Wilkerson, is wondering what happened with the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman thing. And she's like, it doesn't make sense that George Zimmerman decided he should be able to do whatever he wanted to Trayvon Martin. Like she was just struggling with why did he think that was okay? And she realized it wasn't race, it's caste.
Mm.
The caste, that's the same, from the same idea in India, was the same idea everywhere. If there's a way for me to be better than you, there's a caste. Because you and I know that's not true. You would say, right? We're all God's children. That's the point. We're not, no one, because you have a degree or don't have a degree, because you live in this house or that house, because you have, none of that is real. But when a child reads, before they can, if they're stuck in the cast and they have never seen a mirror that works for them, right? No football coach, no art coach, no math teacher, nobody has shown that mirror to them. Then they read
Mm-hmm.
a book, and they read a book this way.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the book, they are no longer part of the cast. Their beliefs have been broken free from it because they're like, wait, these things I've been told about me, they're not real. And they start to question what they've been told. So that book led me to my almost final answer.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get to the
That's
final.
okay. So just to recap, so who was the person that questioned George Zimmerman's
So
right to tell me a little
Isabel,
more?
Isabel Wilkerson was
Okay.
a journalist, and someone approached her and said, I want you to write this story. And she's like, I don't do that anymore. I'm writing a book. So she wrote, I'll butcher the name. She wrote a book that was a Nobel Prize winner. And in constructing that, and then after that, and during that, someone asked her this question. I guess it was after that. And that's how she discovered and really looked towards and saw its cast. People just believe they can.
Right.
Cut
Well,
people
that
off.
was clear. So, and just for clarity, you're referring to Trayvon Martin, right?
Did I say the wrong person's name?
It
I
sounded like you
apologize.
said Travell, and I was like, wait a minute, let me
Oh, I thought I said
double check.
Siobhan. Sorry if I did. Sorry
Yeah,
if I
no,
meant,
it's fine. I just
yeah,
and I like
Siobhan.
to be clear. So
Yeah.
so Trayvon Martin, Wilkerson was asked to write the story about what happened. And at
And
the
like what
time, she
happened.
was writing a book. And so as she was exploring the story and everything that happened, she realized it was Cass because she was wondering what made him think that. Was she putting her was it kind of your framework too, where she was putting herself in that perspective?
Yeah, she was putting herself in all the perspectives. She started paying attention on the plane, like why certain people thought she didn't belong in first class, or oh, you can't possibly be in first class, or you know,
So
all
now
the
is this a black person or a white
yeah,
person?
no, she's black, Isabel Wilkerson. Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was experiencing all of these things that she just saw like at a heightened sense.
Now,
Right.
is this the movie Origin? Does
Yes.
this the okay.
So Ava
Ah.
DuVernay. Okay, yeah. So Ava DuVernay, which I'm butchering her last name, she did.
Ava DuVernay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, her.
Yep.
She made the movie based on the book. And
Got you.
that book changed my life because I realized that reading introspectively breaks us free of the cast because we start to question when we read introspectively. We question our own thoughts, we question the author's thoughts, we start to look
I
around.
love that.
Yeah. So in that, yeah, I'll just tell you the real disruption. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, when I say I've been for a while trying to talk about reading this way, and then people always say, well, kids need blah 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 blah. They're always telling me kids need, and they're always talking about the achievement gap, and I'm like, you're wrong. I know that you're wrong, but I don't know how to prove you're wrong, but you're wrong. So I
Right.
just kept on. And then I started doing this work, and then I was like, wait, the teachers are stuck in the cast. That's why they wouldn't talk to the kids. Yes. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, wait, the teachers are stuck in the cast. So how do I free the kids from the cast? And then I saw Arlen, and I'm like, I'm gonna go on Arlen's team. And then I've been trying to figure it out. Well, right when I was talking to you on the phone, like in that same 2-week period where we talked on the phone
Really?
now, I figured out that it's really just the answer to the question books are. So, okay,
Mm.
so you have to imagine that there are, I'm going to give you a number, billions of dollars spent on teaching reading,
Mm-hmm.
billions. There is an entire industry focused on, well, he can't and he can't. Okay, so ready?
I'm ready.
Books are is just like if I say books are to you, then whatever your answer is how you see them. So if you're a teacher and you're like, books are magical, I'm like, oh, well, tell me, how do you convey that to your kids? And like, oh, well, what do you mean? Oh, well, they. If you think books are magical, then tell me, how are you conveying magic to the kids? And if they go, well, but they, what do you mean, but they? You don't think they can. So you have decided in your cast that they can't. So is it true that they can't, or is it true you just don't think they can? Which one's true? Okay, so you've heard of Chat GPT.
Ashe, I have. We're playing around tonight. We got a date.
Okay, well, we had a date 2 nights ago. Now, a couple weeks ago, someone said something like, oh, put in chat, roast me according to my input. But I never registered for chat. So in the last 2 weeks, I registered for my chat. So my chat maintains my chat, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we're tight now. So now think about it. I've only put my words into chat, just mine, no one else's. And I say to chat, to I say, there were these books called Why Johnny Can't Read. And then there was a follow-up, Why Johnny Still Can't Read.
Oh, my.
Anyway. Like it's anyway. So I say to chat, based on my input, why can't Johnny read? No, I said write an op-ed article called Why Johnny Can't Read based on my input. So, which means chat should have not been able to say Johnny can't read because I have no information in my chat that would support Johnny can't read at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what AI did?
It went and found it.
He wrote an op-ed article. It wrote an op-ed article that Johnny can't read, and then said all of these reasons why, like every op-ed article of, oh, you know, how sad it is that Johnny he can't, there's not enough funding, there's not enough teachers, there's not enough training, there's not enough. Oh, but if we could just get the funding, we have the answers.
Oh, wow. So did you redo it? And because I believe that would only work if you say using my words only.
I did say use
That you know about me and yeah.
my
Wow.
point though. It did it anyway. So
Wow.
AI has a deficit mindset.
Of course.
But
Because
think about
who's programming it, all of those things. We've learned that there's so many biases and so many things because of who is creating them.
exactly.
Did you know this? So the technology's been there for years. We're learning that, right? We didn't know that. Like when the water turns on automatically, when you put your
Right.
hands down, stuff like that. I heard one about so the iPhone. I have an iPhone. And so now you have this face technology, right? Depending on the color of your skin, it may not recognize you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We'll talk
Same
about,
thing with the little water, right? It may not, depending on the color of your skin, it may not recognize
oh my God, that's so interesting.
you. Yeah.
Well, I'm blown away. Well, that's a whole nother level.
Right.
So I do this and I see this op-ed and I'm like,
What?
I told you to use my input.
Right.
So it used the word struggle. It said Johnny was struggling twice. I literally don't use the word struggle because struggle indicates there's an effort you're putting forth, right? The other very popular word is reluctant, which is,
Mm,
you know what reluctant means. And I'm like, those are not true. It's actually apprehension, fear.
mm,
Because if you're little or medium sized, doesn't even matter, and
mm-hmm.
someone's teaching you something and they put shame in with it,
Mm,
put an embarrassment,
mm,
make be you and have every book about the white kids written by the white lady. All of those things, every single thing since you were little and everyone was little, it's all going inside the supercomputer. All of it's going in, all of it. So when Johnny can't bring it out, it's because it was put in with shame. It was put in
agree.
with an emotion. Our memories are attached to a location, well, an experience, right? With a location and an emotion. So if you shame me, so let's just say I say, hey, I'm looking at you and like me. So what letter is that? And you say,
L,
if you,
L.
what if you say seven?
It could be an upside down
If
seven.
I put it like that, I'm so sorry. If I put it up like that and you say instead of L, you're like, well, you're five, right? And you're like, it's a seven. And I'm
Uh,
like, we went over this. How did, ugh. How do you not know?
Right.
Do you see what I just did to your brain?
Right.
I even went like this while I was shaming you with an L and a 7.
And
Um,
seven technically isn't a letter, it's a number.
but you would see what I'm saying, how much shame I
Yeah.
didn't say, oh my God, you came up with a 7. That is so cute. That's a number. Excellent. So this is a letter. So we have numbers that count and we have letters for our, words. So ready? Let's do it again. What do you think? Do you see how that's gently going in?
Yeah.
Same information. You still got it wrong, but I didn't shame you. So it's not
Right.
shoved in with shame or
Right.
punishment. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
here's my,
So
go ahead.
go right ahead.
Here's my disruption.
Tell me.
There has been, I mean, AI believes Johnny can't read. There are very popular people that are like, if you just give the kids diverse books, if they have 100 books, they're going to be better off. If they have this and that, no, 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 no. All of it comes from, not all of it. I mean, like so many different things said, but really what the thing is that if it's all actually in, they just haven't had a positive opportunity to put it together. That's
Mm,
it. So if they're given a positive opportunity by anyone to put it together, it will go together just like that. So imagine this is my fantasy world. Somebody invites me to their city and they already have like a foothold on the city. They already have a space in the city. I get invited to a church, right? And they
yeah.
say, okay, we heard that you have something. I'm like, yes, I have something. Let me come in. And then we just supply the, because we have a foothold in this church, we have a foothold in this community, we get a foothold in a bunch of books, and we
Okay.
line the place up with books. But before everybody grabs a book, I do a little thing, and then I have a angry, apathetic teen who got voluntold by his mom, and
Mm-hmm.
there, and I give him that long way down, and I go through the book, couple lines with him, and he's like, what? I didn't know that's what reading was. And boom, he can do it with anyone.
Ashe. So you perform the visceral method live and have the person has that transformation almost immediately. That's fantastic. So are you doing that? Was that a hypothetical or are you actually doing that now where you're going on tour or on engagements and you're performing this?
I love the idea. I like the idea of like being on like America's Got Talent. You know what I mean? I would like hold up a book. It'd be so funny. But the thing is like the education system, like what I just told you, it disrupts everything,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah,
disrupts the
that
whole
that
education.
achievement gap that you're talking about, right? So what, because I feel like that's a cliffhanger. We didn't close
Oh,
we
that's
didn't
correct.
close the conversation on the
Yeah,
achievement gap. Tell us more.
it's beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Mm-hmm.
And I can prove it every time I have a kid and create a reader out of that kid. And it happens every single time I do it. It happens. I've done it. I could count how many times I've done it because I was doing it in this town, Nogales, which is a southern border town, because someone hired me, someone who believed in me. She was like, I don't know what you just said, but I believe you. And she was 70 and sounds
Mm.
cool. And she's like, okay, you're coming to Nogales, you're gonna do it. And so I get there and I'm like, Anna, give me an angry 13-year-old.
Now,
Because
are you only doing it with children? Because at one point you mentioned that you were in a room of adults.
well, what I'm saying is like don't you think it's kind of fantastic? Like, isn't it kind of crazy what I'm telling you? I'm telling you that a kid who has never performed in school, who everyone says you can't read, he says he's slow, he's in a special ed room, he's angry, he's already kicked out of school, and he's sitting next to me, and everyone says he can't. And I walk in, I say, but he can. Don't you think that sounds crazy?
I'm a different breed.
Okay, but you can see how
Eh,
it sounds crazy to other people, though, right?
I can see how the system has created that. I would say that in most Black communities, that's how we feel. We already know that.
Yeah, so I want to prove it. I want to be able to prove it so that I can show the whole entire community and then go, that was really fun. Can we eat dinner? And then I go home. Like that's why I'm in Arlen's group because I'm skipping schools and I'm going skipping, directly to them unless they invite me because I just told them, look what I can do. Because I live in a town where I wrote a book and my teachers who do my method have proven the point with test scores.
Yeah,
My phone is not ringing. I could show you the calls.
absolutely. Because
Calling
because you're talking about a system that's been this way forever, right?
100, 200
Right.
years. Yeah,
Exactly. And it's a feat for sure. But it sounds like you're the person to do it.
it's
It
going to
took
be
you
fun.
34 years to figure it out, and you know that it's real. So
Yeah.
you said some things that I want to dig into. You wrote a book.
I
Tell
did.
us more.
I wrote a book called Read or Die. So I was teaching like books save lives, like crazy, like we're gonna read, kids. And then my wife said, you should write about teaching. And I'm like, no, thank you. She's like, you should write about teaching. Because I had all these like great relationships. I didn't really want to expose the kids. Like I never feel great about having written the book because I never want to hurt anyone. But also, I need people to know that it could be different. So there are people that are teachers that have read the book and they have changed how they taught.
I love.
I met a guy at pickleball. He gave the book to his wife. She's like, she finished it and started just like, she could not stop screaming, like, oh my God, I can't believe you wrote that. It's amazing. I want to tell everyone in South Carolina in this one school district, they have to read it. You know what I mean? Because it honors kids. It's all about the kids. And so I wrote that. And then I wrote my method. And my method is free in my membership. And it's even free if you just go onto my website. Well, it's not up yet. That's one of my things, but my website will have email thing. And then my lead magnet is have my book. So
Okay.
the visceral method is free. I will give it to people. I just
In the community. Okay. So tell us the name of your community.
so it's Book Save Lives in
Books
school.
Save Lives.
Yeah. So
And
my
it's on the
website,
school platform, SKOOL, not SCHOOL. Right. Okay. So we're looking for the community Books Save Lives. Can you find that on like YouTube or do you just go to the web and put it in? How do you find you?
well, you can booksavelives.org is my website. So I
Oh,
have
okay.
yeah, so booksavelives.org. And I have school on there, I have YouTube on there, and the YouTube, I'm gonna start putting those out. I have my Selena, I put my entire because this is not information that needs to be hidden from people.
Absolutely.
I put my entire healing literacy method for free for adults to heal their own personal literacy, their literacy trauma that they had from when they were 4 and they still believe they read slow. Um,
Mm,
and whatever kind of, if you have a history with trauma regarding literacy, it was put in with shame, and you are still holding on to some beliefs that you may choose to let go. That class is for free. And then I put my entire method in a class for free. Like
and
I'm so serious about helping people.
what's the name of the community again? Books Save Lives?
Yes,
Awesome. Okay. And is there a cost for the community?
there is no cost for the community.
Okay. You're just giving it all away. Is that right? Or there's
You
some
know
paid
why?
options?
You know why? Because I have to. There's no way I was given this much information for me to hoard it, you know? The only thing I charge for is if I have to help you, just because, you know, sure, but the information is free. Like you could literally, if somebody watches this video and they're like, 25-year-old new teacher, they could go to my school, go through all of my school classes for free and become a better teacher just like that. They could change lives
Absolutely.
by Monday.
Absolutely.
Oh, Monday's tomorrow. By next Monday. Right?
Within
Yeah,
a week from reading the book.
exactly.
Awesome. Awesome. This is amazing. Wow. I feel your passion and your desire to save lives through books. It's commendable. And um, yeah. So tell us one more time where the people can find you, what you really, really, really want them to know. Um, yeah. How about that?
Okay, they can find me on booksavelives.org. They can find me at Book Save Lives on YouTube. They can find me on school, SKOOL, at Book Save Lives. It's so easy to find me. I have the Visceral Method. I have the Read or Die book, and my name is Daphne Russell. And what I want to tell you is actually the truth is that the kids can read. The system has convinced a lot of people that there are kids that can and there are kids that can't, and that's not true. They just need the opportunity to be able to prove that they can. And they will choose that if you do it in a compassionate, kind way. Your heart to their heart, share some books, it'll change your lives.
I love that. I love that. Well, it sounds like you're changing lives. What is one of your most um heart, that's stuck in your heart, um, young people that you changed their lives through books? Is there something
Oh,
you could
you
share?
know how often it happens?
Mm,
There's teachers because of the books, that's why I could do it more often. It wasn't just me going like this. So you can only do that so many times during the day, right? But with
mm-hmm,
all the books, there's 30 kids, then 30 kids. They're all doing it themselves. Do you see? So my
mm.
number of kids that I helped was so much higher. And really, if you look at it, they're saving themselves. All I did was just give them an opportunity to tell them
Opportunity.
the books proved to them that what they've been told was wrong. But I'm so grateful for all the kids that taught me that this
Mm-hmm.
is the right way to go.
I love that. They taught you.
They taught, though they did. They're like, so many over and over again. And I'll see them out in the community and they're like, Miss Russell, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. One of them told one of my favorite ones recently, he's probably 20. He
Yeah.
said, he goes, I just want you to know, I think about you all the time, and everybody in that class, they're still doing good. I'm like, what? He kept track, he was in seventh grade, and he kept track of the kids who were in there with him and how they were doing. Because when a
Oh,
child when they read on their own like this, their life is changed
right. Like you said,
completely.
they have agency. So he knew that this was huge and he wanted to see
Yeah.
how it turned out. That's
The
awesome.
kid, the kid on the cover of my book put himself in my class. He was in my class in sixth grade. He put himself in my class in seventh grade and put himself in my class in eighth grade. He's like, I'm not leaving you.
I
Like,
love that.
okay, well, I need someone to be on the cover of my book. Will your dad let you do it? He's like, oh yeah. So he's on my cover. He walks up and down the street he walked up and down the street like 100 times to get the photo shot, right? But
Wow.
his name was Ivan. He put himself in my class 3 times.
I
Well,
love
not the
that.
first time, but the other two.
So
Just
it sounds like not only does books save lives, but so does Daphne Russell.
I really think that's sweet, but I don't I don't look at it that way. I just look at it like I was given a gift that I get to share, honestly. And I just want to share it as big and as loudly as possible. That's why
Absolutely.
you asked me, you want to be on my podcast? You mean I'll tell some people that they can do this? Yes. I'll tell anyone. I'll tell one person.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more about you and then we'll wrap things up. I love for folks to know um, personal things, right? As well. Like, what is one thing that people don't know about you?
Like people don't know about me. Um, that
That
I actually,
you're okay with
yeah, yeah,
sharing?
yeah, no. I spend an enormous amount of time alone,
Really?
peacefully. Yeah, trying to become the person I'm meant to become in order to deliver this message.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
I love
That's
that for you.
Thank you. That's literally what I do. That's what I'm
And that's
doing.
the introspection, right? It's who do I need to become to be able to deliver this message in a way that it would be of service?
Right.
I totally understand that.
And
I,
then when you become that person, by the way, because I know that you do the same kind of thing, it's transformation.
absolutely.
And like literally like I'm willing to do whatever I'm supposed to do. Like I'm like, all right, tell me, what do I do today? And it's I really do that all the time. What
I
am I
love
supposed to
that for you.
tell
I
me what
love
to
that for you. Because so many people in the world today are versions of themselves that they don't want to be, either because, they just don't know what to do because so much is coming at them all of the time, or they're living through someone else's lens, just like you talked about with the book. So for you to go in to get your essence and then become the person that is going to save lives through books
It's my
is
whole I
amazing.
know, isn't it exciting?
It's exciting. I'm excited for you. We
Thank you
pray
so much.
over your business and the mission that you have. Now I'm even more excited because I didn't fully know it before then. Wow. So what would you say is your absolute favorite book or podcast that changed your life that you would recommend to someone else?
I would recommend Caste to everyone. Because
So
there's been
Cast is a book and then there's a movie Origins.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
All
when
right.
you read Caste, you read sentences. I mean, I was pulling over. Because I was listening to it because of the because I was driving to Nogales and I was like, what did she just say? And I like pulled over and I stopped it. I'm like, oh my God. And then that little button that goes back 30 seconds. I'm like, back, back, back. Okay.
So now who wrote the book Cast?
Isabel Wilkerson.
It was, so this is a true story.
Yeah.
Origins is about a true story.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like her journey to figure out what was really going on. And I really believe the cast is the unconscious, all it's the cat people they're stuck in that unconscious where they are not aware, they're not conscious, right? So that's why reading introspectively breaks up that unconscious and starts to speak. You start to recognize, like, wait, what's going on here? I thought things were one way and they're not. And that breaks you free of that cast. That's why it's so significant. That's why my kids were changing, is because they literally, I mean, I'm talking about kids are like, I'm already out of school. I don't want to go back to school, or I hate school, whatever, whatever, whatever. And one book later that has nothing to do with school or breaking out of school or anything like that. And they're like, yeah, I want to be a bounty hunter. What? There's no bounty hunters in the book. There's nothing in the book that would say, then they're like, I really want to go to college and blah, blah. I'm like, what? How did that happen? And
Yes.
those people that want to ban books, by the way, they have the most literacy trauma, because if you were to ask them, probably, what our books are, they would probably say dangerous.
Hmm.
But that's why they're trying to,
Hmm.
that makes no sense to me. But just because it's dangerous to you doesn't mean that it doesn't change someone else's life. And it's not really the topics and all of the things that people think. It's how the book is written from heart to heart. And if that person was able to put their heart down in a perfect artistic way, child just picks it up.
I love that.
Just
I
run
love
with
that. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna test out the visceral method. I love that.
Well, you might have struggle, you might cry, you might have to let go of some feelings you have. You know, my kids would get so upset. I had a kid crying so hard because I know he didn't know he would ever read a book. I know he was convinced, and people had convinced him
Mm,
because he fit every category. And then when someone goes, oh, think about, I don't know what happened to you, but these parents will come in with their kid and teachers
right.
like, oh, he's a slow reader. You just
Mm,
said in front of the kid, he's a slow reader. Now, if he is a slow reader, do you know who I blame? You. If you want to say he's a slow reader, put him in the other room at least. And then go, hey, I want to
mm.
talk about his reading. But you don't even have to do that anymore because my method works. You don't even have to say that anymore. You could,
Right.
all teachers could literally do all my method, put it together, do whatever they're doing, put a cupcake on, right, put on some icing, sing, and the kids are all going to be reading. Like, it's crazy. I'm telling you, it's a lot easier than people think. And I just at the very beginning of telling everyone, like
You're almost there.
I'm almost there. Yeah.
Well, I'm cheering you on.
I appreciate you.
Definitely a mission and a conversation that needs to be had. So I know you're going to do your podcast as well. That'll be coming up. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to share before we go?
Well, I like your traveling idea. I really have this idea that I could have a bunch of books in my car and I could travel from bookstore to bookstore. I could travel from library to library. I could travel from church to church. It would be so great to be on a tour where I just like videotape my tour of going to the next place and then invite the people in who don't read because they have a negative relationship with books.
I love
It's
that.
just a relationship and it can change.
So you're going on tour in 2025?
Wouldn't that be great? Goals.
Yes, absolutely. Just
Yeah.
do it. May I coach you a little bit around that?
Yes, please.
So make a list of 100 of those locations that you want to visit. Have ChatGPT put together a proposal for you, right?
So
And
great.
then go down your list and get your dates lined up and what that needs to look like for you.
That is literally brilliant.
That's all you need to do. And get started. I mean, Arlen gave the blueprint for that. Did you read her book, It's About Damn Time?
Yeah.
Because we're in the book club.
Yeah. I read them both. Yeah.
Right.
But well, you got to hear, I mean, you know how much information I have in my head. It's like bulging out right now. But now I can easily hear what you just said. And I have my chat GPT that we just had that little sit down. I told them never to use struggling or reluctant ever again, by the way. Mm-mm.
Oh, that's right.
I said, no, that's not real words. They don't fit. But I love the idea of giving me a plan and then giving me a route. Why wouldn't he just tell me, go this way and then go like that and come back home?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm. And you get to define the where you want to go, right? Put the criteria for the bookstores that you want to be on your list,
right,
right? Like
right,
they have to be open to believing that books save lives or whatever that needs to be true
right.
for you to want to show up there, right?
God, that would be the best time ever,
And get you some sponsors, all the things.
right?
Do you accept this challenge, young lady?
Yes, ma'am. Can I say that it was your idea when it succeeds, please?
Sure. If you want to give me credit, but I believe it was your idea.
I believe that I mean, the thing is, again, it's about the blueprint, right? Somebody can say a bunch of ideas, but someone gives you, oh, here's a blueprint. And I'm really big on like, oh, wait, that makes sense now. And I really like to give, credit where credit is due is important to me.
Absolutely.
That sounds
Absolutely.
so cool. What
Yeah.
a time.
What a time. You're going to be amazing. Maybe I'll join you along your journey. So
You know
make sure,
what I need is I
what do
just
you
need
need?
one independent bookstore that has a hub mentality, like a community hub, independent bookstore mentality. And then I just go, hey, this is what I want to do. Can we spread the word? And there's got to be some sort of,
Oh, it's totally out there. There are tons of them.
Mhm. And then I just have to
Once you
map it out.
once you get started and get put that criteria in there,
Right. This is so
you'll
exciting.
be amazed at what you find, probably right there in your community. You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm certain that there's plenty right there where you are, and then the word will spread and you'll just get further and further out there.
right. Oh my God, that's so exciting.
Yep.
Just for
Uh,
some reason, I want to go west first and then go north and then and come
I was
around.
just gonna say I lived in Las Vegas for almost 8 years. I'm certain there are many there.
Yes, I am
Mhm.
certain.
Very good, very good.
Oh, that's
Anything
such a
else?
great idea. Thank you.
And you said you accept the challenge.
I accept the challenge.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
me and ChatGPT are gonna have a conversation tonight.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, so anything else to share before we go?
No, I've shared everything. I really appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you for showing up and answering the call. So, with that in mind, I have one more question before we go.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
Um, yes, I would like to know where you see yourself on May 25th, 25.
May 25th, 2025?
Mhm.
It
What are you wearing?
depends.
Where are you wearing? Where are you? What's it look like?
It depends. If Ireland's All Access is going down on that day,
Oh,
I see myself sitting in the VIP session, taking it
okay.
all in. More than likely, I have on my Disrupt Her gear because I
Oh,
represent.
okay.
And I have a thriving coaching practice full of disruptors. And the women that I'm serving, I've helped them get their shit together, and they're out there pursuing the missions that they've been given in the world. And probably by May, more than likely, I'm probably also leaning in to start my sandwich shop, Midwest Way Cafe, Midwest Cafe. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you just created your entire challenge for yourself by
Hey,
that was
I'm
tricky,
never,
wasn't it?
and I'm not scared.
It's so great.
Are you coming to Ireland's All Access? Or what is it called? What is it? Ireland's First Live? I can't think of her conference. Are you familiar with her conference?
I don't.
Your First Million, that's what it's called.
Oh,
It's
okay.
her conference. Oh
Oh,
my gosh, you got to go check it out. That's the website too, Your First Million.
okay.
Yep, go check that out.
Okay. I will.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be in May. So we'll
Is
see.
it
So
really? Okay.
that was a good one.
Thank you.
That was a good one. I like that. I may have to use that. I'm gonna
You are
borrow
more than welcome.
that. I will give
It's
you
nice
credit.
because then, yeah, then you like you start to create this. You're like, well, damn, I just created that. Well, hell. It's like a commitment through the back door, though.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's all right. I don't care whether it's the back or the front, as long as it gets done.
Right. I know. Really. I
Yeah.
love being in this with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, this has been a really fun time, very enlightening and very enlightening. I am honored to be able to have this space and us have this conversation. The wow, the passion that I see in you and the work that you are wanting to put out into the world is going to change so many lives,
Thank you. I
so
really
many lives.
gonna do the best I can. And so every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on this note, we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you
We
very much.
thank you all for being here. Go check out Daphne's Read or Die book. Join her community. Book Saved Lives on School. We will also have all of the deets in the description box of this live. And please like, subscribe, and share, as I too am growing my YouTube. Awesome. This has been fantastic. Well, you all take care of yourselves out there. Until next time, I'll see you soon. Awesome. All right.